These are my top 10 travel hacks for your next trip away. Hi everyone and welcome back to the One Globe 360 YouTube channel. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 travel hacks that you need to use for your next trip away. So, travel hack number 1 is always use a local SIM to avoid roaming costs. I'm sure we've all been caught up with this at some point in our travels in the past, or we're worried about it in the future, especially with the roaming costs and charges changing all the time depending on what network you're on. It's really important to be clear and to understand what the rules are and what the extra additional costs are for roaming when you're abroad. But you could just get rid of that worry, just get rid of it, don't need to worry about it, and you could just buy a local SIM card. That way you know that you won't be incurring any additional roaming charges, and you will also find that local SIMs are really cheap. Obviously dependent on what city or country you are visiting, and I would say your cheapest option if you're looking to have internet access when you are traveling, especially if you're a digital nomad or a freelancer and you need to be working whilst you're abroad, I'd say buying a local SIM card is your best option to save money. Okay, so travel hack number 2 is collect points by using credit cards. So what does that even mean? Very good question. So I follow on Instagram, social media, and I subscribe to them on YouTube, this company called the Points Guy UK. And basically the Points Guy UK break down how you can save money whilst traveling by using credit cards and accumulating points that you can then use to purchase flights and accommodation. So I would head on over to the Points Guy UK's YouTube channel after this video to check out more in-depth information about how you can use credit cards to accumulate points to save money on your travels. Okay, travel hack number 3 is turn on private browsing for cheaper flights. So again, what does this mean? Essentially, when you're looking for flights or when you're looking to book a flight, make sure that you on your computer or on your phone, you turn on private browsing. Basically, what airlines can do is if you don't turn on private browsing and you search a flight, you look at them prices, and then if you leave it, come back to it and refresh, often the prices can go up because they know that you're considering booking the flight and they are being very sneaky and can increase the prices. However, if you then go and check in a private network, a private browsing, they will not be able to do this. Travel hack number 4 is always roll your clothes when packing. So when I was 19 years old, I went backpacking around the world. I went to around 10 countries and I had my backpack with me and I did not roll my clothes. And what did that mean? It meant that every time I had to repack my bag, it meant it was getting heavier and bigger every time, especially the more I accumulated on my trips. So one thing I could have done to overcome that issue was to roll up my clothes, and that way it means more of them can fit in the area of your bag, the surface area of your bag, whether it's a suitcase or a backpack. It makes it so much easier to pack all your things, and it means you should be able to, 1, bring more things in the first place, more clothes, more toiletries, etc. And number 2, it means you can accumulate more, you can buy more things, more souvenirs, more clothes whilst you're on your travels, and it means you can fit that in your bag as well. So, travel hack number 5, we are halfway through, is always buy and bring a portable charger when you are traveling. So, I'm sure we've all been in the same situation before, where you're out and about exploring whilst you're traveling, but your phone is rapidly reaching 0% battery and you have that panic in you, whether you need it for, to be able to message someone or to use Google Maps or to pay using Apple Pay or Google Pay. I'm sure we've all experienced that panic of worrying about when our phone might potentially die and trying to conserve the battery power. But you don't have to worry about that if you've got a portable battery. If you've got a portable battery, it means that you can be out exploring on your adventures, on your travels, and you don't need to worry about your phone dying. It means you can always have that backup option so that you will never come into a difficult situation where you can't pay for something, you can't contact someone, you can't find out where you are. Those are 3 anxieties that can be really difficult when you're traveling, especially if it's a country where you don't speak the language, where you haven't quite familiarized yourself yet, you don't know exactly where you are, where your hotel is. It's so important to make sure you have phone battery at all times, and a portable charger allows you to travel and adventure without having to worry about that. Travel hack number 6 is always email yourself a scan of your passport. Now, your passport is one of your most important possessions on you whilst you are traveling. It's something you obviously need to get from A to B, to go from country to country, to get on that flight. And essentially, if you lose it, it really could be something that could ruin your trip and mean that you have to, wait around to go to an embassy to get a new one, have difficulties flying home, getting on a flight. You're basically stuck essentially where you've lost your passport. So one thing I'd always recommend is before you go, take a picture of your passport and essentially email it to yourself, so you've always got a copy of some ID with you. So if you do come to a situation where you have lost your passport, it's a lot easier to overcome this issue because you've got proof of your passport, you've got proof of all the details, all the numbers, and essentially it's your most important document you'll have with you whilst traveling. So it means as a backup plan, you've got it in your emails, and I think it will make the situation a lot easier and more straightforward if you have got that copy with you. Ideally, you don't want to lose your passport, but it's always good to have a backup just in case. Okay, travel hack number 7 is use Google Maps offline. So using Google Maps offline is something that people don't really know is an option. You think, oh, I'm going to need Wi-Fi or data to use Google Maps, right? Wrong. You don't actually need to have data. What you can do is download certain routes or maps whilst you have Wi-Fi and whilst you have data, and then it means you've got them stored so that you can use them when you're traveling out and about, when you don't necessarily have Wi-Fi or data. So it means if you're traveling somewhere you don't know, you're not familiar with, it means you can still have the tool, the resource of using Google Maps whilst not needing to also rely on having Wi-Fi or data. The next travel hack is use ATMs to get local currency. So I'm sure many of us have also got caught up in the trap of buying currency at airports, for example. Airports have the worst currency exchange that I think of any places. They'll always charge you more than you need to be charged. So in my opinion, I would always use ATMs in whatever country or city you're going to. It's always important as well to get a reliable travel card. I use Caxton Card and Monzo as 2 travel cards when I'm traveling around the world. They're super easy to use, the apps are really convenient, and they just work really, really well. I've also got a blog post up on my blog, which is www.oneglobe360.com, which was written by my friend Olivia, who is the founder of La Casa de las Lenguas magazine. And she wrote basically a blog post that's on my blog all about top tips for using ATMs whilst abroad. So go and check that out. There'll be a link in the description. But that basically explains all about the, hacks with travel hacks with ATMs, avoiding those additional costs and ensuring that you don't get scammed and you don't end up paying more than you need to. Okay, we're getting towards the end of the travel hacks, but there are some really important ones coming up. So stay tuned to the end of the video to find out what travel hack number 10 is. Okay, the next travel hack is download the Google Translate app. This is so important. When you go to a new city or a new country and you're faced with a completely new language that you've never learned before, you don't know any words or any phrases, it's so important to have a tool and a resource like the Google Translate app to allow you to be able to communicate with local people, to be able to communicate in restaurants and cafes, to order food and drink, when you go to the hotel, and ensure that you're understanding what the hotel receptionist is saying, for example, whether you're in a taxi, whether you're doing an activity or doing a tourist trip. It's so important to be able to essentially communicate with the people around you. And the Google Translate app allows you to do this. What you can do is you can open it up, speak into it in your own language, and then you can it basically allows it to translate into a completely different language. Google Translate has so many languages that you can pick from. The communication is a lot easier, and it means you won't misunderstand anything, you won't be unsure about what is going on or what people are saying, and it just all around makes travel a lot more stress-free and convenient and happy. Everyone's happy when we can all understand one another. It means, there are no unfortunate incidents or situations where there's been that misunderstanding. Okay, so we are now at travel hack number 10, the final 10th travel hack of today's video, which is avoid jet lag by changing the time on your phone as soon as you get on the plane. So this is something I always do when I'm traveling in order to overcome jet lag and to be able to not have those first couple of days of your holiday being really, really tired and very sort of, unaware of what time it is and not feeling like you've adjusted to the new time zone. It's really important that when you get on the plane, as soon as you get on the plane, change your phone's time or your watch, whatever you use to tell the time, to the time zone of the particular city or country you are visiting. This way it's more easy to be able to adapt to the time zone, and it means for when you're on your flight, for example, especially a long haul flight, you can adjust and plan for when you're going to try and sleep according to the time zone of the country or city you're going to. So for example, if you're flying overnight and you know that you're going to arrive at your destination in the morning, it's important, I'd say, to try and prioritise as much sleep on the flight as possible, because when you land in the morning, you're going to want to try and stay awake for the rest of the day and go to sleep at a relatively normal time for you in the evening. Otherwise, you are going to get caught up in jet lag if you land and then you're really tired and then you end up having a sleep or a nap throughout the day. It means you're not tired in the evening and then you're staying up all night because your body's just not adjusted to the time zone. So I'd say to get as used to the new time zone as quickly as possible by changing the time on your phone or on your watch. I'd say that is something that is definitely an underrated travel hack, and one that I think is fantastic to finish this video on. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's video, which has been my top 10 travel hacks for your next trip abroad. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment down below if you've got any requests or recommendations for videos you'd like to see on my channel in the future, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new. We are so close to 500 subscribers, so I'd appreciate any new subscriber who is going to come and join me on the channel and learn more about travel tips, tricks and hacks, and also follow me on my travel adventures as well. I'm going to be traveling again in April and May, so the rest of the videos for March will basically be sit down videos like this explaining about things such as the best travel apps, the best travel hacks, how to become a travel blogger and make money, amongst many other topics. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.